What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Canvas Conversations. Joining me today is fellow MMA journalist, though he's taking the journalist cap off next week as he will be fighting Phil Brooks, also known as CM Punk, next weekend, June 9th at UFC 225. It's Mike the Truth Jackson. Mike, what's going on, sir? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Not too bad, man.
Wonderful.
Are you out in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm out here in Dallas, finishing up training over at Fortis MMA. But I have an event I know I'm still working. I work for different promotions, and this weekend I work for a jiu-jitsu promotion called Submission Hunter Pro, and we have our 27th event out here in the Dallas area. So I just came out. I knew I was going to be out here, and so I just came out. Spent some time, but came out a little early to get some quality training in, and, before the event, and then before I head out to Chicago next week.
Of course. So, has it been hard to balance your work with preparing for a high level fight like this and also a high profile fight like this?
No, I mean, for me, as far as work goes, it's fairly simple. I'm a photographer, a media personality, and then as far as events go, I handle the production for the company, so all like the tapes and the graphics. And I mean, it takes me a few hours to knock all that out, and then obviously I have like the weigh-ins and the day of the event day. But I mean, it's just like with anything else. I know a lot of people. It's funny, like the people on the internet, like you'll post something like, "Oh, I'm at the pool," or, "Oh, I'm eating," and they're like, "Yo, you should be training." I'm like, "Yo, I don't like. I'm supposed to train all day. Like I'm supposed to spend all my time at the gym. And you have to be able to separate the two. And it's just I'm fortunate enough as far as like work goes that it allows me quality time for training and really anything I like to do, especially eating. I love to eat for on the Truth Food Tour.
So, how did you get that role with working with LFA?
Man, I've been close personal friends with Mick Maynard for shit, 10 years, and my first fight was with him, and then it was just one of those things, building bonds with people, and I'm a great person, I'm loyal, and he noticed that, and he brought me on. So and then I joined the merger, and I was with the whole merger. Before it was called, the first one, it was called Lone Star Beatdown, and then we went when we start getting once we because the Lone Star Beatdown side, they would do shows like every blue moon, and then once they decided that they wanted to go the professional route, they brought in the name Legacy Fighting Championship, and then that grew and grew, and then we got at the time it was called HD Net, now it's Access TV. We got the TV deal, and then we just continued to grow, and then it got to the point where Legacy merged to form LFA, and I'm with the merger, and so it was just one of those things: right place, right time, knowing the right people. Look, all of this, man, literally all the things that have happened, all the great things as far as the MMA goes, have fell in my lap, and it's just about being a good person, making the right connections.
So, do you feel like that role kind of led you to where you're at right now?
100%. 100%. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of great people around me. From the personal side, I've had, my mother, my son's mom, they've afforded me the time to train. Again, I don't, as far as like having a real job, I was a career student, I was in, and then I just trying to figure out my way through life. I graduated a few years ago, and then, with that, I was still doing the whole media personality thing. And again, I didn't have to, I was making enough money to cover all the necessities, but I don't have to pay rent or even with gym dues. I've had for the longest I didn't have to pay that, and even when I paid, it was very minimal. So my expenses were very low. And then it's one of those things like how people they have a dream that they're trying to live, and not everyone is able to fulfill that dream. They have to have this 9 to 5 job, but for me, I was fortunate enough to not have to do that. A lot of great people behind me. And then that's personal side. And on the MMA side, again, working with Mick Maynard, and his family, and the team that we have that we've built over the years, it's afforded me a lot of great things and great opportunities in life. And now we're here for my second UFC fight.
Wow, wow. What a turn of events, man. So what's it like going from being the journalist to the fighter? And what do you enjoy most about being in that role of the fighter?
For me, I'm an entertainer first, so I'm able to kind of like switch it on and off. I feel I'm a fighter second. For me, I feel I'm an entertainer who just happens to be in the fight game, But as far as turning it on and off, man, I'm always on. I'm constantly training, and that's the other thing is like if I weren't in the media personality role, if I weren't doing what I was doing as far as like working the shows and interviews, man, I would probably be like laying in bed Monday through Thursday, eating on a Truth Food tour, and then I would go work events on the weekends, and then back in the bed, or doing whatever, whatever hobbies that I have, But that downtime, that in between shows or whatever, I go train,
Mm.
and so I stay in the gym, and even when I travel, because people know who I am, and they allow me to come to they open their gyms to me, again, because I'm it's one of those things like you just got to be nice to people, and just be a genuine person. And, that's just who I am. And it's afforded me a lot of opportunities. So whenever I go to, Atlanta or Nashville or Vegas or wherever, people's like, hey, you're more than welcome to come train with us. And, so I'm always in the gym, man. So I really don't take any time off.
What about this fight feels different from your first fight in the UFC?
Um, The only thing that really feels different is that I'm going into sort of a pop culture icon. I'm going into his hometown, and like I know there's going to be a lot of support for him there. So it's going to be real hostile territory. For me, it's not necessarily the crowd or the audience or the number of people. For me, I thrive off that. I enjoy fighting in front of a lot of people. I remember my second amateur fight. I fought on a Dustin Poirier undercard. It was probably like 2009, I think. And it was an arena it was like 10,000 people there, you know? And again, I thrive off of that, but this is going to be different. This is going to be different because of his status, of his name, and the support that he's going to have there. But make no mistake about it, that doesn't bother me as far as the fight goes, because I know these people can't, this is not going to be like a handicap match. He can't tag in these other people and to help him out. It's just going to be me and him, and at the end of the day, I'm just a better fighter.
So what do you think about the people that are all over Twitter that are saying things like you and Punk don't deserve to be in the UFC, let alone be on the pay-per-view portion of the card? Is that something that's bothering you at all?
Not at all. Look, I've grown over the past few years. I felt I've grown as a person mentally. And, I've learned, especially the political climate now, I've learned that people just and they just want to hear themselves talk. Especially in social media, prior to social media, people have these opinions and they can only tell like their friends and family members, and it's sort of, how you say something and it kind of like fades away. That's kind of how it was in the past. And now the same types of people, they can post this on social media and they can get the likes and retweets and shares. And it drifts on a little bit longer. But it's the same thing, man. It's people's opinions, and it really doesn't matter. The way I look at this is if you're not writing the check, you literally can't say who deserves to be anywhere, because you're just a fan, So look, if you don't like the fight, or if you don't like where it is on the card, don't watch it. But they're gonna watch because they want to see what's gonna happen. That's what it is. And the funny thing, I had someone tell me it was right when they announced Holly Holm and Megan Anderson, and people were upset about it. And I was like, dude, do you understand that you get to watch these people fight for free? You know what I'm saying? It's like they're upset that they're having to pay or they're upset that they don't have to pay to watch it. Now they shuffled the card a little bit, so now they are on the pay-per-view. But now you get Alistair Overeem and Curtis Blades for free. Mm-hmm. You get Carla Esparza and Claudia Gadelha, two title talent challenger, former champion. You get to watch these people for free. And you're upset about that? If I were a fan, I'd be like, hey, just make the whole card free and put them on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? As a fan,
Right.
but people are so they just I don't even know because I can't, as a logical thinking human being, I can't rationalize their way of thinking. So again, at the end of the day, it's their opinions. It really doesn't even matter,
Mm.
to be honest with you. And it's not. I'm not like trying to talk bad on those people because there are fans. But again, their opinions don't matter when it comes to business. And this was a business decision. You have someone like a Phil Brooks, CM Punk, whatever you want to call him, who's a sort of polarizing figure. He's a pop culture icon. That's how he got into the UFC. And they're gonna pay all this dude. They're gonna pay him all of this money and put him on a free TV. Like, that literally makes no. See, the people who
Mm.
with those opinions, that's why they're not business owners, because
Exactly.
they would have been bankrupt a long time ago. And they know his value. So that's why we're on the pay-per-view portion of the card. It only makes sense. And again, I'm a businessman, and so I understand how businesses work.
Even still, do you want to prove something to those haters?
Now, it's funny that you asked that question. So this past weekend, I was fortunate enough to be the photographer. Her name is Ruth Carter. She basically did the costume design for Black Panther,
Mm.
right? And she's a known figure as far as in the movie world. So I was able to shoot her for Comic Palooza out in Houston. And while I was in the green room, I ended up running into Orlando Jones, who comedian, actor, been in the game for 30 years, right? So we were just chopping it up for a little bit, and one of the things that he told me, he was like, look, because I asked him, I was like, yo, you've been in the game 30 years. Like, how have you been doing this for so long? And he was like, yo, because I do it for me.
Mm.
I can't worry about these people's opinions, because they're going to have their opinions one way or the other. But it's not about them. It's about me and what I'm trying to do. I'm building a legacy over here. I'm building a brand. Well, not even building. The brand is there. I'm taking a brand to another level. You know what I'm saying? And with all of that, I can't worry about these people's opinions, or even the fans who are out here criticizing me and criticizing Phil and doing all this. It's not about them. It's about me, and I got to do what's best for me and best for business.
So with the win, do you think you deserve another fight in the UFC?
But it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not looking past this fight, because this is obviously the most important fight for me. There are some potential matchups that I like as MMA goes, but then there's also Zuffa boxing. People know me as far as the combat sports goes. I'm a professional boxer. I have 4 wins with 4 knockouts on my record. Professional kickboxer with knockouts on the record. So if the Zuffa boxing comes to fruition, which I found out that this is a thing it's a big possibility here, that's an avenue for me as well. Again, it's all about making the right connections and meeting people. This is really a big network experience for me.
Mm.
And it's the network on a grand scale, whether it be another fight in the UFC, whether it be a boxing match in Zuffa boxing, or maybe I get a job with, like ESPN. That thing just may have, it just came about. Who knows? For me, it's about building a brand and building a legacy, and so I have to make the right business decisions.
So this opportunity, you feel like, gives you a leg up in the future for future opportunities.
Correct, man. See, I'm always thinking ahead.
Mm.
You can't think in necessarily the moment. And again, like I tell people, like, everyone has a different path in life, especially going into the UFC. You get a lot of guys who they build their records up on these lower level shows, and their goal is to become a UFC champion. And I know, because I've been with people. Look, Sage Northcutt, I was there at his amateur debut, and now he's in the UFC, and he has potential to become a future champion. That was his goal, right? That was never my goal. I'm just here doing my thing. I'm an entertainer, and it was always about building the Mike the Truth Entertainment brand. And so it just so happens that I can continue to grow the brand. Now it's growing exponentially because of the UFC. That was the catalyst here. And so it's really about that, man.
Regardless of the haters, though, you're fighting at UFC 225, and like we said, it's a stacked card. So
It
have you
is. It is.
have you taken a minute to kind of absorb this and just soak it all in and take some of this fun in?
Nah, I not necessarily the card. For me, I've taken the fun. People UFC comes out. I had the Black Panther rash guards and everything. I had the Infinity Gauntlet, which I'm taking out there because I'm gonna snap them fingers and it's gonna be a wrap. Even with my shirt. I got a dope Black Panther inspired shirt. That's what it's about, man. It's about the entertainment. It's about again the brand and just having a great time. And I can't get caught up in the hype. That's another as far as the hype goes. That's the main reason for calling this guy Phil Brooks. I mean, well, first of all, that's his name,
Mm.
right? And the whole CM Punk is a character, and I can't get caught. Look, he was a former wrestling world champion, and so a lot of people are sort of using that, as again, that's how we got here, but they're using that to sort of dictate how their predictions on the fight. And I'm like, yo, you have to take that away from me, or take it away from here, And he's just a man. He's not CM Punk. He's Phil Brooks. And June 9th, we're going to see that.
Mm. So what are you looking forward to most about next week?
Man, the Truth Food Tour after the fight, I even was trying to have like an after party. I was calling around trying to set up an after party at because I've never been to Chicago, and I heard the Chicago pizza is just amazing, right? And so I reached out to a few people and I was trying to set up like an after party at a pizza spot. And they were just like, nah, or whatever. And I was like, well, y'all bad. I'm going to take my business elsewhere, But for me, it's just really the True Food Tour. That's what it's about.
Okay. You've mentioned the Truth Food Tour a few times. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the True Food Tour, so like I said, I work with different promotions and I get to travel around the country. And again, I'm a food. I love to eat. That's actually the reason I fight at 170 and I no longer fight at 155 is because I love to eat so much. But so basically what I do, and again, I like trying new things and I love good food. So as I travel around the country, going to these different spots, even in Houston, like there's many. I mean, the food culture is crazy out there. And here in Dallas has great food out here. So basically what I do is go to these different spots and I like to try new things. I like to try even crazy things. I love bizarre foods, And so I may go out to a spot and they may have I had blowfish a couple times, or I go somewhere where I have elk or emu or piranha. I do all these kinds of different things, and it's sort of just documenting the experience and obviously the good food, and that's really what it is. It's like a little mini food show. Actually, I'm going out to or back to Lake Charles here at I think when I'll be in Lake Charles the week after my fight, and so I stopped by there not too long ago, and it's a great. It was actually on one. It was Dana White's looking for a fighter, if I'm not mistaken, or it was something with the UFC had stopped there one time, and I went there and it's a hot dog spot. It's some great hot dogs. I went in there and the dude kind of looked at me funny, I think he knew who I was, and so he said, "Hold on, fighting the UFC?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I thought that was after this win, they gonna give my hot." Man, I love the experience that I'm having here.
Oh man, that's awesome. So you mentioned how much you love food. Has it been tough for you to get your weight down?
No, I mean, well, it just depends on how you look at it. I don't want to give up too much.
Right.
But I know as far as the weight cutting goes, I know Phil is he's going to be quite a bit of pounds. He's going to be coming over from over 200 pounds. I've never been over 200 pounds in my life. Well, maybe I haven't been on. I never stepped on the scale and it read over 200 pounds. I possibly have been. It just wasn't on the scale, right? But we're doing everything the right way, and I'm very, very confident as far as the weight cut goes. But I mean, somebody hit me. I was in Nashville like a couple weeks ago, and I posted something. They were like, "Dude, you got a fight coming up." I was like, "We're good. Don't worry about it. We're good." So I don't want to give too much away, but it's not going to be a problem making 170 pounds.
Perfect. Well, man, we're pretty close now. So how do you see this one going?
Man, it's going to be a knockout, second round. Well, let me rephrase. It'll be a knockout for sure, and it's all about what's being presented to me. I would like to go in and entertain the crowd a little bit. I don't want to get him out of there too soon. I want him to, and then I have no quarrels with the guy, no ill wills, and I understand why he's here. He's trying to do something, and the first fight against Gall, he didn't get to show anything. He went out there, got taken down, and submitted. So this will be a great opportunity for him to sort of, live the experience as well. He get to show his fans and people things that he's learned. And then, but again, as a fighter, there's levels to this game, and he's going to understand on June 9th that he's simply not on my level.
So what do you think becomes of CM Punk after this? After he takes this loss to you, what becomes of him?
He's going back to wrestling. That's his bread and butter. That's where he was known. He even got his friends now, Cody Rhodes, and all. They're recruiting him to come back over to the wrestling side. And again, like that's for him. That is for him. As far as being a professional fighter, it was really a catch-22 for him. If he wanted to really make a run at something, he would have gone by the amateur route if he really wanted to. But with a name like he has, you simply couldn't go there without being exploited. If he goes fights for free as an amateur, these people are going to make all of this money off of his name. He sees none of it. If he fights on even if he fights on like an LFA card, he's not going to get his value because they simply can't afford it. Even like the Bellators, like they can't what they're doing over. It would be perfect for him to be in Bellator, but even they couldn't pay him his value. He has to be in the UFC. And so now it's one of those things. It's like, what do I do? And if he continues to compete, look, he's not going to be in the UFC after this. And let's just say hypothetically that he would want to compete again, right? He would have to go down to some lower level show. And even there, he's going to be fighting, up and coming professional fighters. And he's not at that level, And so his best option is going back to pro wrestling.
Gotcha, man. Well, Mike, aside from the fight coming up, what else have you got upcoming?
Man, I'll be in, let me see, after the fight, I'll be in Lake Charles, Beaumont, and Nashville on the True Food Tour, working shows. And then that's about it. That's really, man, it's just about eating, man. I love food. And, obviously I'll still be in the gym. I'll be training and preparing for whatever comes next, whether it be an MMA fight in the UFC, whether it be a boxing match for Zuffa Boxing or a local promotion or, whatever. I'm definitely going to be in the gym training and, whatever happens, happens.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I'm sure I'll be seeing you around soon, maybe one of the LFA events again. But we appreciate your time, my man, and we're certainly looking forward to this fight with you and Phil on June 9th.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.